I've often shared on here that I believe we teach what it is we want to learn. We want to better about ourselves. And maybe that's the wrong way to say it. It's like, let's just use me for example. For the longest time, it was a matter of like looking for love outside myself, right? Looking for love, approval, acceptance, all these things, seeking outside myself, which of course is never going to work because that's not how it works. And even though I could intellectually understand that, I found the old patterns of doing the opposing, seeking outside myself, as the fallback. That was what I knew. That was what I understood. So it's almost like I could hear the other, learn it maybe later in life, but not necessarily comprehend it. And so it's like you trip so many times until you've had enough. And you're like, I got to figure this shit out. I don't feel good, and I don't know why I don't feel good. And then you do start to discover and learn from your mistakes, your blind spot, your pitfalls. And it's kind of like those are also your blessings, right? That's what you were here to learn, so to speak, or that's your purpose. Or, it's like, it's usually what is of most interest to us. And we dive into it, whatever that area or arena is, we put that above all else. And then when we start to discover truths in that process, we tend to want to share that because it is so exciting to finally feel good on whatever it is, that we want others to experience that as well, others who may struggle as well, to hear your translation. But that doesn't always mean it's right. Meaning, it could be true for me coming from my perspective, my understanding, but it's where I am on my journey at any given time, and at whatever vibration I'm at in that moment, to be seeing through that perspective. And because that's forever changing, we're always forever changing and evolving. And this is kind of like why there's no truth in time per se. Because we're all floating around and bumbling around at different vibrations, different times and spaces, and we'll discover and hear and learn things based on that vibration. And that idea that it's perfect divine timing is simply you naturally sync up, match up with whatever vibration you're on. So it's always going to feel like right or aha, because it's just confirmation of where you're at. So the more work you can do on yourself and loving yourself, raising your vibration, the more those ahas and those synchronicities or matchups or coincidences are going to feel amazing versus why me, right? So, it's like the higher you are, the better it is. It just sounded funny. And so, like, oftentimes our teachers, the ones that we hear that we resonate with, they have discovered the truth that we know at our own core, right? Like, we might not have seen it, heard it, understood it, translated it as such just yet per se, and yet they've cut to the chase. They've already been through the trenches. They've already been through the wars. And in other words, what I'm trying to point out is none of us are perfect. And I think most of my teachers who have, been wise or gotten it, have been through hell and back. It's not because they were perfect and they just know so much. No, they've been through the shit. And they're like, shit. Right? And then we learn. We want to learn. We want to feel better. We're not going to just accept the repetitive cycle or the lesson not learned. Okay, that was the other thing. I think best on the beach, but I should have brought my phone with me. What I was thinking was, there are a lot of times that I'm sure when you listen and I'm sharing what I've understood or translated, it is always through my lens and my perspective, so it's always going to be skewed that way. And it's like lessons that I'm seeking to learn and understand. And so I do try to share in broad strokes a lot of times because you can overlap it onto so many different aspects of your life where it doesn't always have to be about like romantic love or relationships, although ultimately I think everything is. But again, that's just my perspective. I think it all boils down to that. And that all starts and stems with your relationship with yourself, loving yourself, understanding yourself. As much as you can meet yourself is how you can meet another, right? If you can't meet yourself at such deep levels and be honest and true and pure with you, how the fuck can you be that way with others? And you see that. If you sit just for a few minutes and think about that, I feel like we can easily understand and discover that to be true. And those who don't, I feel like, are also very surface because they're too afraid to dive that deep. And that's okay, right? Like, that's okay. We're not all meant to do the same thing or have the same experience at all. And so that's what I'm trying to circle around and spit out was they were showing, a lot of my lessons do revolve around that because for the longest time, I really didn't understand what it meant to truly love and honor myself. I really didn't. I was doing things that I thought were, but that was the problem. I was thinking they were. I was remembering that was what I was taught. That was what I was taught here from examples of watching how people treated themselves and others. And I thought that, it was told that was love, that was painted as such, didn't feel good, didn't feel right. Yet the words and the actions were not syncing up. They weren't matching. And yet, you can only go based on those things at times. And so you have to then say, why isn't this matching? Why doesn't this feel right for me? Right? And you have to figure and unravel that stuff out. And so I was trying to circle back to something, and I don't know where I rolled off, but the point being, a lot of my lessons do revolve around learning what it really means to love and honor myself, take time and space for myself, put myself first so that I can do that for others. Because if I continue to put others first and worry about their needs, I can't get to my own, so I'll always be depleted. So then I'll never actually be able to serve them because I can't serve me. And in whatever dynamic, right? Whatever type of relationship. And so sometimes it does feel like you're going backwards before you move forwards. Nonetheless, I'm still not circling around to just because that's the lens I see through, right? Self-love and loving others and all types of versions of love. Your lessons could be very different. Although, again, like I said, I really do believe it stems from that. But you might have mastered that, right? You might have mastered truly loving and honoring yourself. And so you can have those great relationships with others. And yet you have another layer, another dynamic that you're meant to work on this lifetime that It's like you've already mastered that core basic, because I do believe it's like a core basic that many of us are missing, but there's many who are not. Many have like plugged that hole, so to speak, and so their focus is on other things. It doesn't mean that they don't have self-love. It could mean the opposite. It could mean, no, I've mastered that. I'm moving on to this or this or this. And sorry, I feel so relaxed when I come off the beach, but on the beach there's times where they really come at me. And I wanted to share it with you. There was more, but I'm just going to go write for a while, but hopefully you got something from that. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. You can now purchase an audio journey with me using the link below.